Okay, new video, part 12. So just to make it quick, I had to grind a lot of this weld off, or contacting everywhere, but I ended up making this bracket here. I used the original thing, and I want to put plastic inside here. It'll center itself better. I don't even have to tighten these bolts here. See, I made these little brackets here, and this one has a couple of extension rods on it. So when I go like this. Whoops, I'm not in the hoo-ya. Okay. I want to say that's pretty solid. The only thing that's not really great is this, but it's hard to tell. But, you know, again, I have to have two hands here. But when I hold this, like this flat metal here goes flush up against here, but really on center is going to be, you know, away from it a little bit. It's just the funny thing I dreamt up here, and it's not that wonderful. But also, I think originally, you know, I wasn't putting on this metal here, you know, but I just felt everything was too flimsy, so I just added that. So it kind of added to the math involved with that. But as long as it stays on center, when all is said and done, you can see it's not going on center. When I hold it with one hand, I don't know if I can hold it with my phone. See, if I hold it, because all the way up, like I said, it kind of, where am I? See, like that's flush and that's not. So if I hold that, it actually is on center now, roughly. You know, obviously when it's bolted in the car. But when it's over, see, when it gets to the end here, that's when it kind of binds. But I think no matter what, when it's on center, it's going to be correct. And, you know, it's only going to stop where it's going to stop. I could probably grind the metal on an angle. Yeah, it's a little shitty. But again, I really don't care the way it looks, you know. I got to get a couple of bolts here because this is just what I had. You know, and I put a washer on this other one. But this came out pretty good. I was trying to put it up here, and I'm like, wow, there's no room. Everything looks like it's going to hit each other. And just in case this hits, I can always grind this down because it's plenty, like, over-engineered. That's the thing. Like, I usually try to over-engineer something. You know, like I said, it's not going to be doing that right there. Like, that's on center. And if there was a way I could, you know, like, I was kind of setting it up on this thing, you know, just to kind of get it on center. But you see, when the inside moves, yeah, the inside could move. Yeah, it's not, again, it's not bolted down, so it's like, and it's like kind of sticky in there. That needs to be all cleaned out. I was trying to make it so it goes on center for you. But, you know, ultimately it's actually working, you know, and it's getting full articulation. It's binding every so often in that. It actually keeps it on center, but again, that's because, see, right there, when I'm, give me a second. Yeah. I have like, see, also everything's loose. I just barely tightened it. So it's not pulling out, but there's another nut inside there that keeps it on center. I really don't need it, or I could put a double this over there if I felt like I needed to keep it on center. So that's another thing. And this is a screwdriver head. I barely got a chance to tighten it. They don't really make a bolt that's 10/24. That's what I ended up threading everything. I had tried to thread the original thing. Sorry, somebody keeps texting me. Oh, in my mess. Let's see. Right here. So this is the piece that was left over. So ultimately, you know, I cut it with an angle grinder with a cutting blade. So the thickness of the cutting blade there, and that's pretty much, you know, halfway in that. You know, roughly. So, and then I have the, you know, like I said, I'll probably put a nut on a screw so I can use it as a nut. But I also might just put the plastic nuts, because I think it's actually better when it's kind of loose instead of being completely tight, because I just think it's going to have too much propensity to bind. So if it's kind of just rolling around, see, I didn't tighten any of these nuts, so I'm like, wow, that actually is working pretty good, all things aside. Again, this whole thing doesn't look right, but I'm 99.9% sure that once I get it on center in the car and I put a plastic bushing in here somehow, I think that's gonna, work out much better. But it was much better putting this guy down there. I mean, even if I'm gonna see it under the thing, I was gonna see all this shit anyway. So, um, like I said, if I had a straight piece of metal, I was cheap. I didn't want to buy anything. I had something, and I misdiagnosed it or how much I would need, and then I added this other thing, which is thick, but it's not as thick as this. And then I added metal to it, and then I had this. Then I realized I couldn't, just to paraphrase everything else that I did. I realized this has to be in two pieces. There's no way to get a bent piece through here and over this and get this thing here slid in the thing. And this is actually in too far. It'll probably come out. So I got a little issue going on here with this bolt, possibly contacting. I redid that weld, and I grinded down the nut. What else? I don't know if I have to clean. I think I flattened this out a little bit. That's not an issue over there. I was thinking about even rotating this here, because it looks like I'm getting little cracks in the wire here. I can feel it with my nail there, but I don't think it's a big deal for just, it's going to be working in fail-safe mode for the most part. And the good news is, like this, I got that tucked under there, so it's kind of cool that I have that, because there's only one bolt on this side. But this thing here, it's really not going anywhere. And I don't know, I guess I'll have to redo these wires at some point in the column, or I have to drill out these rivets in here to get to it, because you just can't take it off, it seems like, unless I'm looking at it wrong, or there's hidden screws. Hopefully there's just hidden screws that I can't see, but I didn't really go crazy looking at it. But I think I got just less than 4 inches from the bearing that I have in the car on the top of the column, and that goes to this, the joint that's in the car right now where the bolt is. It's just under 4 inches, and this thing is like 9 inches and change. So it's just, I think it comes out to here, so it'll have to come out a little bit. The thing is, when I had it all the way out and I was trying to get it out of the car, I realized that the steering box has an adjustment. So when I adjusted the steering box up all the way, this was sitting flat. It was kind of like sitting like that, or I forgot, like that. I think it was sitting like that. So the column would come right out, but then I realized I couldn't tighten it all the way. Once I adjusted the steering box on the bottom, this went flush. But when it went flush, then it wouldn't physically come out, because the way it was touching it. So I can actually go back further. It seems to be like pretty far in the thing here. I don't know where the original bolt holes were. I don't know if it's a washer mark or not. I don't know if I can see on the other side. Ugh. This is heavy now. It's heavy before, but now it's heavy. Yeah, either way, because now it can, when you unbolt it, because this is on a U-joint, it'll just, kind of bend down, but when it bends down, this kind of goes forward and then hits the thing. It doesn't quite clear it, and if it was in the middle of the hole, it would be better. So I started setting this up to go smaller, and it looks like that this kind of depends where this is. This thing here can just, it'll just end up in a different place, and it hopefully still has all the same thing. Worst case scenario is, I was thinking about cutting out cutting a groove in here so that it'll just pass through. It shouldn't be a big deal. If I need to have the full length, but if I figured it, might need a 1/4 inch off here or there or something like that. So, but ultimately I'm gonna have to bolt this in, see what also needs to be adjusted. Like I said, I got the nut over there. Maybe a flange bolt is not a good idea. Maybe it's just weld it flat with a stud and just have a nut on the other side. That because I made the other hole oblong here, but this doesn't need to be a separate bolt. It's just kind of getting in the way. But in a certain sense, if it's correct, it kind of like hangs on. When you go all the way up, it kind of hangs on that nut, especially if I leave the flat over there. So I think it's really coming along. It's amazing for just kind of rigging it, but I mean it's somewhat permanent. I mean, this is pretty strong. It's just that I don't really care about making things really pretty. I'm already like disgracing the car by putting a thing in there. Plus the car it's been cut up before and stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but it's in not the greatest of shape either. So, um, I don't. It's not like a mint car that I really have to go crazy with. And I probably have the ability, but I don't have the time to sit there and make things super super nice. Um, it doesn't help that I'm not very neat, and I'm also like working. I'm working on a Chevy Celebrity Diesel for weeks now. I just haven't had time. I just got all the AC, like the universal AC hose kit with some. Oh, that was actually in my pocket. I got this guy, which is a 180-degree fitting here. So basically, one's a number 6, one's a number 8. So the 180-degree fitting, that's going to go like that, and the other one is probably, I have, the kit comes at right angles as well, and I wasn't sure which way I was going to end up bolting this thing, and who knows, I don't know the significance of having one side bigger than the other, but I put the same size on the bottom that goes to the receiver dryer, and since the top here is, really, one of them is going to have a different size on it, so no matter what, it doesn't matter. I was just thinking that, I could still flip it over the other way and get the other size, to the other side and whatnot. Since it comes into the thing as a liquid, I thought a bigger side would be better than let it go down. But the 180 will probably be good for the bottom. The top, I can go 180 going upwards and come out through there. As you can see, there's a little foam right here. I could probably sneak it through there. Maybe I'll put a solid line for a good portion of it. I'm not 100% sure. But, shouldn't be too hard with the AC. That was the hard part, but it actually came out really good. So I'm very happy with that. And things are starting to come together because this is why I just started messing with the radiator first, because it's shot, what's with all the rust. The rust spray is like everywhere because there was rust in the block, and I had the door open, it squirted over the fender. There was a bunch of pinholes in the top, and it was shooting here and shooting there. And between $800 for the, look, I got rust water everywhere here. And, between spending $800 for the original radiator, this radiator is fatter, and I'm going to have an electric fan on as well as a mechanical fan, and I think it's going to be better, I have... I'm going to put a sensor in the radiator here to make the fan come on just in case it reaches 220 degrees. And, or I think I have it set at 190 or 180, no, maybe 180, 190. I can't remember. I know it was low. I put a switch. I have a switch that goes lower, actually. So, and I already showed this guy here with the, crazy thing I made over here with the, I only have one hand. I need tripods. I need all that if I want to do better videos. But ultimately, this is kind of crazy, and I think it should, it should serve its purpose. This part, I was always worried about this because I'm like, wow, this little rod in the middle. But putting a bigger rod that was in there, because I was thinking about using the leftover piece, but I had to thread it, which makes everything shorter. Yeah, I put the extension rods on there. Because I actually cut it wrong in the beginning. I should have cut more out here because I gave all this room to go 1 inch, and this did not. I didn't figure this out, so this was going flat inside there. So, it looks like I can go just about. Where am I? Right here. I have. That's the most it'll go. It's like pretty much just about flush there, But as long as that stays like that and does its 1 inch, that's fine. I can adjust this now, So, because the other piece was just not long enough, because after you cut it, you can't really make up for it. Like I said, I put the extension rod. I have to put the extension rod on this side, then thread that down more so it pushes it forward. Then you're using a bolt instead of the nut. And like I said, I don't really care for this right here, so I'm going to see what I can find in the hardware store and take it from there. But that's my progress so far. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody. At least, listen, if you do it much nicer than me, you'll be better off. if you use better metal, if you take the time, you're going to do a much better job. But ultimately, you know, what I'm showing you is probably helpful. You know, there are certain things, like particularly with this, you know, unit from a Nissan Cube, and the flat piece of metal here that bolts it into one side here. I mean, it's just, it's pretty good for everything I have done. If you saw my earlier videos, but what else? Yeah, I grinded this down more because it looked like it was time that I grinded this. You know, so ultimately, and I can always put a piece of rubber there if it hits, but I don't think it hits really. I've went through this already. It should be up like this. See, when I go like this, you can see it's kind of on center, and you see there's a, see that, oh, it's hitting forward. Anyway, so it was hitting there, but see, and then it has this movement afterwards, but that's, you know, it's not bolted in, so ultimately it should be fine, you know, but it's pretty crazy setup, and I think it should work pretty well. Like I said, I may get rid of that. This thing here is perfectly flush, so there's really not much else I can do other than putting a thinner piece of metal, which I already made this. I don't really want to go through it, but I think this stud, I may have to just weld a stud in there and make this flush with the metal or barely sticking out, or put a stud with a jam nut on this side, and or also weld a nut and put the bolt on this side. But I just felt that wasn't as easy to adjust, but probably not. It's probably no big deal. I was also, you know, maybe drill a hole, put a jam nut in the metal and weld it in the metal, and then grind it flush and flat so there's threads in there, you know, something like that. So you know, I guess that's it for today, and long way to go still. All these wires are funny, you know, among other things, you know, but ultimately soon I think I should be able to bolt it in and see what's going on, you know, what I need to do as far as this linkage. Once that's all done, then I can play with the wiring and get it kind of set up, maybe paint it a little bit, you know, make it a little bit nicer, clean things up, and take it from there, you know. But so far so good, I must say. All right, thanks for watching.